Welcome to our presentation. We worked with Mary Greeley here in Ames this semester looking at efficiencies within the ambulatory care services. This is our team made up of 5 industrial engineering students, and our objectives were to increase on-time surgeries by 10%, increase capacity of ACS by 10%, and reduce time spent on resource allocation and scheduling by 30%. This is what the flow looks like for patients who go through ACS at Mary Greeley, and they also visit one of 4 different departments within the hospital. One thing we looked at was room utilization. So we took the total time that patients spent in each of the departments to see how much the rooms in ACS were used by those departments to figure out how many rooms should ACS use to host those departments. And then based on their current layout in the bottom table, you can see how they can accurately reach that optimal distribution based on their current layout.
Another thing that we looked at this semester was the ACS capacity. They weren't sure how many patients that they could serve each day, and so we wanted to find that number and then find ways to improve that. Here you can see a graph of our capacity comparisons. In the green line, we calculated the theoretical room capacity, which calculated based on the number of rooms in ACS and the number of rooms in each of the departments that they served. In the black line is the past utilization, or the capacity that they used in the past couple months. And the blue line is the nurse capacity, and as you can see, it is much lower than the black line, which means that they have to call in extra nurses each day, and this is confirmed by observation of the process. In order to increase the capacity, we included that gray line there, which would include a 10% increase in capacity based on process improvements and additional staffing. As I just mentioned, that 10% increase comes from hiring 2 additional nurses and from completing process improvements.
Next, we look at the way in which the nurse leads allocate resources and assign nurses to their roles for the day. The challenge with this is that there are a lot of manual accounting processes in order to gather information for the day, and that leads to a lot of unnecessary calculations and a waste of time that nurse leads could be using to do other things or complete other tasks. As you can see from the current process, the papers that they use are pretty disorganized and scattered, and so the goal of our project is to reduce that messiness and variation. So the inputs that we use for the resource allocation and scheduling tool that we built on Excel includes the inputs that the Business Intelligence Office sends to the ACS department, and then the outputs are basically the counts that the nurse lead would do manually, but just on an Excel format instead. Here you can see a time-lapse video of what the nurse leads currently do for their accounting process. You can see a lot of flipping of pages, you can see a lot of recounting, and so we just want to mitigate and reduce this time. And this is what the counting process on the new tool looks like. As you can see from a 30-second time lapse to a 20-second real-time video, there is a pretty large time savings, and so we went from a total of 45 minutes for the process to a total of 16 minutes for the process, which leads to a 65% time reduction.
Throughout the semester, we met with many nurses through unit meetings to find some additional recommendations and ways to increase capacity, and the following are physical therapy, patient lab notifications, pain medications, primary care clinic callback, and pre-operation patient questionnaire. All of these process improvements are root causes for surgery late starts and can potentially increase the capacity by 3.3%.
All of these recommendations add up to an economic opportunity of increasing the overall revenue of ACS department by about 10% and the overall increase in revenue across the department, such as GI and OR, by about 4%. This leads to a payback period of 4.6 weeks. We recognize that we are not the first team to work on a process improvement project within a hospital, and so we've utilized many references throughout our project. Thank you.